I'm talking today to Paul Rosbotham of the NICC. Paul, we're here at the NIC's annual forum. You've just given the opening address. Sounds like there's lots of work going on.
Yes, we're very busy as ever. We've got a full work programme at the moment, ranging from everything from the physical layer for broadband access with DSL, right the way through to signalling protocol issues for interconnecting networks using SIP, and then on to the more consumer issues, things like nuisance calls are a huge issue at the moment. I think Ofcom estimates there's about 4 billion calls per year being received. We actually think that might be an underestimate. So as an industry we're having to work together to come up with ways of overcoming that, and NICC are pretty central to that activity.
Yeah, and in fact to help you cope with this, I think you also mentioned you've had quite a significant restructure in the way you carry out the work.
We have indeed. Historically, we tended to be organised on a technology basis, so that we had groups that looked at things like architecture, a group that looked at protocols, a group that looked at testing, and so on. And what we found was we've got a very finite resource pool within industry of people coming from the communication providers and suppliers. And we were finding that the same people were having to come to multiple groups. So we've restructured ourselves so that we now have topic groups, whereby a particular group looks at a subject on an end-to-end basis and takes it through right the way through from the requirements through to working out the architecture of what we need to deal with and any protocols and testing associated with that. We've also, because we need to keep a focus on the technology side of things, have kept the concept of something called a subject expert. So it means I've got an expert who can look at architecture issues, an expert who can look at testing issues, an expert that looks at protocol issues, and so on. And the advantage of that is they can make sure that the correct people are mobilised to go to the task groups, but also they can take a holistic view and make sure that what we're doing in one topic group is consistent with what we do in other topic groups, and we don't end up with a mismatch of architectural approaches, for example.
Now, it sounds like this new structure is going to be put to the test in 2014. You mentioned nuisance calls. What are some of the other areas that you see the group working on in the coming months?
So we've got a large amount of work to go on with respect to SIP and the introduction of that across UK networks. It is starting to be deployed in quite scale levels now. We need to work out some of the interoperability issues so that it will work correctly with the legacy signalling standards, and we need to work out exactly how things, which parameters should go where. So we've got a large item of work there. We've got ongoing work in the emergency calls area when it comes to IP, in terms of being able to make sure that we can locate customers when they make calls to the emergency services. Traditionally, you made a call from your phone was pretty much hardwired into the wall, we knew where you were. With IP, increasingly mobile and can be nomadic, from going from place to place, and we need to work out where you are in order that we can get the emergency services to you. We've got a piece of work which Ofcom have asked us to take on recently around customers increasingly deploy their own PBX software onto their own PC and run a little mini server themselves. They're opening themselves up to fraud, basically. That is very easy. If these things are misconfigured, it can be very easy to leave it so that hackers can get into your account and make calls, running up your own bill. So we're putting some guidance together to try and secure PBXs on that side of things. So we've got a very full work stack. DSL again is still busy as we seek to get higher and higher broadband speeds. That needs cooperation between CPs to make sure that we don't end up in a situation where one CP service works very well but it wipes out somebody else's. So there's a lot of that's a particularly vibrant topic group. We have about 40 or 50 people attending that working group typically. So a lot of work to do in that area.
Yeah, I mean, DSL is going through a major resurgence. It's the hot topic at the moment, isn't it?
It is.
I think it's evident that we can see there's so much work going on in the network, and really people in the industry, some are not too aware of the work of NICC. What's the value? What would you say? Why should people join and get involved with NICC?
I think a lot of it is about being able to influence the way that things are going to work within the network. I mean, it's possible to be passive and simply read our standards, but then you're dictated to about how your business will operate. By getting involved in NICC, it allows you to influence the standards to meet your company's commercial and technical goals, and make sure that you're not left stranded with a solution which works very well standalone, but as soon as you need to interwork it with anything else, which inevitably we need to do in a competitive scenario, you end up in a situation where your kit won't interwork properly with everybody else. And if you're in at the outset as the standards are put together, that therefore means you can be making sure that your kit is geared up nicely to be able to support the technical standards, and also it means that the technical standards can be shaped around your own equipment.
Okay, Paul, well, it sounds like you've got a very challenging year ahead. Thanks for sharing that with us, and thanks for speaking to us.
No problem at all. Thanks very much for the time.